background. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Athena After Dark. We are having way too much fun here. It's like 96 degrees in the shop. I'm sweating to death. We got fans blowing. I was just riding with ape hangers. The fan was blowing my hair. It was pretty funny. So, we are back from Daytona. Everything was great. I hope everybody had a great week. We have tons of cool stuff going on. So, we'll kickstart this baby and get rolling. Daytona was amazing. Flying Piston Builders Breakfast. That was absolutely a wonderful event. They raised over $10,000. And then we also got the opportunity to do one of my favorite things, the Harley Davidson Biker Bells morning ride. So I have some pictures from that event. That's super cool. All right, let's see. There's Miss Tony, her and Laura and Marilyn. There's Miss Laura and Karen and myself. I was a hot mess. I'm telling you what. Hey, and somebody got a riding shot of me. And Jess, the girl next to me, she is super cool. I really enjoyed getting a chance to chat with her. I look forward to spending some more time with her. She lives here in Florida, so we can hang out. And there's Miss Brittany. She jumps right in on the fun. I love that kid. She's awesome. Her lipstick matched her motorcycle that she was riding. Thanks, Harley, for the loaner. You guys must have coordinated that. And there's Miss Boots. I always love to see my Boots. That's my Chicks on 66 compadre. We had a great time. Then we had Willie's Tropical Tattoo. Oh, my goodness. So it was the best event yet, the best turnout. I do have pictures. This is really good. All right. So there's Donnie Loose and from Don's Garage. This is my favorite picture. I'm going to send this to Willie. Look at the sun. Is actually God was smiling on Willie's Tropical Tattoo and the Chopper Time show. I don't know how to say it any other way. It was a perfect day, perfect people. Everybody was having so much fun. Yeah, we have a ton of pictures of that stuff. So there's some cool motorcycles. Knobby tires were the thing, used and abused. That was a good one. This was my favorite smile of the day. This gentleman, no matter what adversity had come upon him, look at him. He's got his two wheels and he's riding them. But, dude, he had the biggest smile, the most handsome man at the event, I'd have to say. Well, at least one of them. All right. And then there's Willie, always working. You know, he doesn't get a chance. He's the best host, but he's always working. That man is one of the hardest working men I've ever met. And what a great event. And we had it all right there. That chick was dressed to the hilt, and they were leaving. So I had to take a shot of that because I thought that was pretty cool with her Jap bike at a chopper show. You got to get them all. Willie brings everybody. There's Billy from Twisted Tea. What a great, great time. He's a great man. It was very, very exciting to have him show up. He's always got such great vigor and spunk about him. Okay, next picture. You're so good. Mr. Davis. So this is Roadside Marty's dad, Mr. Davis. And this bench, he had reserved seating on the sign. You can see it says this bench reserved for Mr. Davis. So if he liked you, he'd let you sit next to him. I got to sit there a couple of times. It was super cool. And okay, this one was for Bobby Seeger. This is one of your friends and his hat. Aiden has a posse. I loved it. Had to take a picture. I forgot his name, but he was the super coolest dude and said, make sure that we make the block party this year. So we're going to give it our best shot. We have a lot of traveling to do this year, so that's exciting. And then Jello shots were all around. This couple, they were just going at it. Every time I turned around, they were doing another Jello shot. And it was fun to watch because she carried him out of there. And they got an Uber, which was really cool. They were responsible about it. So I dug that. Apparently, you know, they had planned for the show. And then I got a picture of the photographer, Missy. Nobody ever gets the photographer. They're always taking the pictures. So she was having a good time. That was fun. And there's Mr. Davis and Roadside's brother, Buddy. Super cool Southern gentleman. Now, this man, he was smiling. I said, well, smile a little bigger for me so I can take a picture of you with the sign. He gave me a real good pout there. He was pouting. All right. And then these kids, and okay, so the little guy to the one side, that's Rabbit. Then Lane is next to me, and then his dad, Hachu. I met them at the Smokeout. Amazing. I just love these guys. They're fantastic. Always asking me if I need help, and they're always right there to be helpful. So, and then Pat from Progressive. He's one of the best MCs at all the events. I absolutely love seeing him, and we look forward to seeing him at a few events this year. So that's pretty good. And then I think we have just a few more. Look at the crowd. That was just the backyard. That was just the backyard. This event is an incredible event. And right before the awards, the best part of it is everybody starts out saying the Pledge of Allegiance. That to me says it all. And I don't know if you guys can hear the fan in the background, but it's like hotter than hell, literally here. So, all right. And then we had on Friday the Dennis Kirk Garage Build show. That was really awesome. Um, it was cool because so many people, like younger builders, brought out their stuff, that they did in their garage, and it was just an amazing time. I had such a great time. It was inspiring, and it felt good to be sun-kissed. Oh, and from Sons of Speed, we're sending our prayers out to Josh and Joey, hoping for a speedy recovery. So everybody, please say extra prayer for them. All right, something super cool I'm real excited about tonight, because tonight's guest is one of my favorites, teenage heartthrob kind of thing. But so the Donnie Smith Bike Show, it's at St. Paul, Minnesota River Center, March 25th and 26th. If you have not been to this show, this bike show has inspired and unveiled the greatest spirit in custom motorcycles for sure. You can attend. They have great sponsors: Dennis Kirk, Buffalo Chip, Law Tigers, and a bunch more. We're going to talk about that because tonight's guest is Donnie Smith, so I'm really excited about that. So get a chance. You got 2 weeks. Go ahead, make your reservations, get your bike in the trailer, whatever you want to do, and we'll see you there. Don and I are seeing if we can make it. We're hoping so. If not this year, for sure next year. All right. So for a lot of people who are just tuning in, this show is home of the 5 good things. What we do here is we do our best to have 5 good segments about positive stuff. We do an interview with motorcycle people, not always industry people, motorcycle people in general. We're lucky to have some of the industry greats to attend and be part of the show. But so what we do is we ask everyone the same questions. And if you watch regularly, you'll know we get all different answers. That's the coolest part. So this week's 5 good things. Daytona was a blast. The weather was great. The Flying Piston Breakfast raised over $10,000 for all kids' bikes. The HD Biker Bells morning ride was without any incidents, and it benefited Helping with Horsepower, my sister Laura Clock, and that is her nonprofit. Willie's Chopper Time show saw its largest turnout ever, which is great. And again, the Dennis Kirk Garage Build show, it brought builders that showcase their passion really for motorcycles. It's nice to see the new up and coming kids and some of the home built garage builders bringing out their stuff that you would never see at a regular show that wasn't an amateur show. It was awesome. The things that they do and just thinking outside the box. I really dug that. Hi, Dennis. Nice to see you. Miss Laura, I love you too. Thank you for reviewing. I appreciate it. All right, so we're going to speed through this because, again, I'm excited about tonight's guest. All right, so tonight we have our Ask Athena question for this episode is from Bella from Baltimore, Maryland. Now, I met this young lady. That's Carly, Laura Clock's daughter. She took this photo. But Bella asked, she was at the HD Biker Bells ride, and she asked the question. She said, you were riding a blue bike that was different than the other riders in looks and especially sound. It was cool. What make and model was it? Did you ride that bike to be different? Okay, so that was my shovelhead, Rosie Posey, Puddin' and Pie, Kissed the Boys and Made Them Cry. That's absolutely something that I didn't do to look different or be different. I'm different. That's my antique bike. I realized this year for the 120, she will be celebrating her 45th birthday. So yeah, I probably need to step it up just a little bit when I want to zoom around, but she gets me where I need to go, and I love her. So Miss Marilyn, I love you. Got lots of great stuff going on tonight. So yeah, that was pretty much the reason that I rode her, because that is my daily ride. Sean Darby, I love it. Holla, Baltimore. All right. And also, I just wanted to put this up here. Miss Ellie Rains from Midwest Women Riders. They have a contest going on with Old Nation Bank, and it's Choose Your Charity. So if you can go on Facebook and search Ellie Rains and go and look for this logo, their nonprofit is getting votes to get a grant for the charity work that they do. So Choose Your Charity. It's with Old Nation Bank. And we will put it up on our Facebook page, a link to that also after the show, so that you guys can go and vote for Midwest Women Riders. So she's a good friend of ours, and I want to make sure that everybody goes out and does the vote and helps them out. Okay, so this week we have product pick. Anyone who saw me Wednesday in Daytona knows I was wearing the first coverall that Harley Davidson put out last year. And the ladies at my dealership keep me updated on stuff I like as it comes in. So I saved for a few months to get the first one, and it was so comfy and it rides super well. And this year for the 120th, they have men's and women's. So as much as Don's going to hate it, he's going to love it because we're going to be like matching coveralls. At least it'll be cold when we get to Milwaukee. So we're going to need those, even though it's going to be summertime. So that's my product pick of the week. Everybody should check into it. Super awesome. Rides well, cleans well. Everything's super good with it. So yeah, check it out on hd.com. And they have the coolest clothes. Everything in my closet one day will be Harley Davidson and Victoria's Secrets. That's the goal. You know, a girl can aspire, right? A couple of Patricia Nash handbags and some Dooney and Burke, and we're good to go. All right. Tonight we have our dose of Goodwill. So many of you know or don't know, our guest usually gets to choose the charity. So this charity is Lifescape. They're making a difference in the lives of over 3,000 individuals throughout South Dakota and the region. The Lifescape Foundation is a moderate-sized organization who does really big work. Okay, I'm going to let Donnie Smith talk about it a little more, but him along with the hamsters support Lifescape because the staff and the board of directors are all volunteers. So that means all the money that they raise actually goes to benefit the people that they're helping. So that's incredible. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Teach Kevin Bass's charity too. So we'll get to that. All right, so fun part. I'm going to put up our picture first of the man, the myth, the legend. So there he is, Donnie Smith. As a teenager, I fell in love with a girder front end, and it was on a motorcycle that he built. I had posters of him and Arlen on my walls. There were a few others in there. You know, I always used to cut out the little picture of Bandit, you know, and stuff like that from Easy Rider. So I am a biker girl. I don't think I'm an enthusiast. I think I'm a full-blown biker chick. There's Donnie. Now, this man he started out sexy as hell, and he's still sexy as hell. He's going to celebrate his 81st birthday at the show. There's him and Arlen. Look at that. Back in the day. Oh, my goodness. And there's him and Miss Abby. They ride together. They always – that picture right there, I hear the Doobie Brothers rocking down the highway. I absolutely love that. And they're always riding together. And you can see these are the beautiful bikes that he builds. His history goes way back into the 70s, starting with Smith Brother and Fetro. And anybody who doesn't know what Smith Brother and Fetro is, I suggest you Google it because it is our motorcycle history. It is chopper history, and it's the real deal. There they are again. Oh, there's the puppy. Oh, my goodness. Look at that. Oh, and did I mention that Donnie has been rocking a mullet for decades? My grandson aspires to be like him. Baron has a mullet, and he is awesome. I absolutely love it. And look, thank you for your service, sir, because look at that. There he is in the military. We have more good pictures. These pictures are awesome, so I'm showing them all. There he is. See, and he's a dog guy. I got to love it. You absolutely have to love it. That's too funny. And there he is riding, rolling up the highway. Got to love it. Some beautiful motorcycles. That's got to be an 80s photo. At least early 80s photo. Look at that. That is gorgeous. See, and when I started building bikes, I aspired to that. They're clean and they're sanitary. Oh, there's him racing. He's done a lot of cool things. I can't wait to ask all these good questions. We do ask the same questions to everybody, but we get different stories. Look at that. Fantastic. Such class. And you can tell which ones are his, even out in a crowd. You know the Donnie Smith motorcycles for sure. This one, that one hung on my bedroom wall. That is the girder front end that I fell in love with. I guess back in the day, the Oakland Road Show and different shows they were doing. I even know Arlen, sometimes he would take his bike apart, paint it, make something different, and then put the same bike in the show. I think they all did that starting out. But wow. And now the things that go on, I'm sure we're going to have some good stories for sure. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Hey, Rob Swelly Belly. And see, he's been following Donnie since the 80s. Gotta love it. Absolutely. All right. We got more photos. Okay, let's see. Oh, this is excellent. Smith Brother and Fetro. So like, see, and that's a cool black and white photo. And then the hot chicks are in there. You got the chicks in there on the motorcycles. Gotta love it. I love it. That's him. That's racing. Smith Brother and Fetro. Like you, they were everywhere. It was very fantastic. Look at that. Gorgeous. From choppers to baggers, you name it, he'll do it. And his signature is all over it. Style and grace. That's what I say. I absolutely am such a fan. I know I'm all red faced because I'm giddy. Look at that. Very much so. I don't do him like that anymore. That's one of my favorites. And he is a hamster. So, and if you guys don't know what that is, Google it too, because apparently Google tells you everything these days. All right. So if everybody's ready, I'm literally ready. Okay, so now this is the three of them back then, and this is the three of them recently. So look at that. Motorcycles bring everyone together, and that's the epitome of building lifetime relationships and friendships through motorcycles. Absolutely love it. Okay, so we're going to do it. We're going to bring them in. I'm excited.
There you go.
Hey there.
How you doing?
Good. How are you tonight?
Oh, I'm ready.
So happy. Thank you so much for being here. You made my day. Try not to blush too much.
Not to be on the downside, but about a week ago, our partner Fetro passed away. He was 82. He was dealing a little with some cancer and some other issues, and he's in a better place, But he was a very good friend and a very good partner, and we were together since early 70s, and actually before that we were together. He's from Iowa and we're from Minnesota, and we got together. We're farm kids, so we could talk farm talk around city kids and kind of baffle them. We thought that pretty cool.
I love it. I'm sorry for the loss. That is a true.
But he's not suffering anymore. That's the good thing,
That's the important part for sure, definitely. So how have you been?
I've been good. Shoveling a little snow, blowing a little snow. I got a kid that now he can't find a place to pack our snow. We got snow drifts or piles of snow at the end of our driveways. They're like almost 8 feet tall.
Oh, shit.
And it's just, the driveway keeps getting narrower and narrower. It's just no place to put it, And supposed to be 40 on Thursday, so we'll see. It'll help, but it's going to take longer than that to get rid of it, But hey, it's Minnesota.
It is Minnesota. It was 92 here, so we're the total opposite of you. But yeah, I don't. So you guys stock up, like you have freezers and you just stock up all the food and everything in case like you get snowed.
No, we just put on another jacket and go out.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
It don't slow Minnesota people down. We don't, nest in or anything like that. We just, you put on a little warmer shirts and stuff and a little better pair of shoes and away you go. I mean, I've been up here. Like I say, I'll be 81 in March, and I've been here my whole life, and I don't really plan on moving away. The only thing that would chase me out is a stupid government we got, but I'm not going to go there. Well, I did.
Okay. I understand that. I definitely do. So you just put layers on, more and more layers?
Yeah. So you wear a t-shirt in the summer, and you wear a long sleeve shirt and a t-shirt under that in winter, and then a warmer jacket, of course. Or you wear a jacket. In summer, we very seldom wear a jacket, but it gets one. We get. Well, the humidity gets up in like July and August, and then September. It seems like after Labor Day, it just heads downhill in a hurry. It just seems to be the point that it does. But we got 3 good seasons normally and 1 bad one. So 3 out of 4 ain't bad.
Right. Well, at least you guys get time to that's when everybody pulls their bikes apart and they do stuff to it. Here, we don't have that. They ride all year round. So everybody's got, one wheel in the basket all the time, mostly here.
Our show has been timed that way. So at the end of March, April can be ready to ride, so we've timed it to where people that are working on their bikes, it gives them a goal to get ready for our show. So most all the bikes in our show are fresh, because they got all winter to go through them and get them ready. And I just talked to my partner today. We're sold out on bikes. We're sold out on vendors. Got a little room in swap meet, and other than that, we're ready to go.
So tell everybody that you're in your 34th year, right?
Yeah.
And it's at St. Paul River Center.
Yes.
Okay.
And then where they play hockey there, and they do a lot of high school basketball and stuff like that, and lots of concerts there. And then we're in what they call a Touchstone Center. It's just another big venue in there, But we're in the basement of what they call the Roy Williams Arena, which was the original one there, and that's where our swap meet is. And it's all tied right together. You don't really have to go up a floor or anything like that. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it's I've had some really great compliments. Like not to pick on anybody, but the Easy Rider shows, we always kept hearing that all these numbers, and we figure we're doing pretty good, but we try to be pretty honest about it, and we figure we're like around 20,000 people, and they're going 30 and 40,000, and we're going, God, how big is that place to put that? Because we jam up, and then finally I met I think Michelle. She was with John Green, and she finally met her about 5 years ago, and she came up and said, "Well, I finally get to meet you." And we're talking. She says, "I used to be with John Green, and I said, well, I know John, and had met him." And she says, "Our goal was to have a better show than you did, and we never did."
Oh, how cool.
Wow. So that was a big pat on the back. And I thank her. It was kind of because we kept thinking, how can they get that many people? I mean, we don't have the, like if you're out in the East Coast, there's so many big towns that are like next to each other almost,
Right.
Our towns are all built around each other, and got our three biggest towns in the state are, hooked together.
Right.
But
and that's Minneapolis, St. Paul,
Bloomington.
And Bloomington.
Bloomington is where the Mall of America is,
Yeah. I've heard that's a crazy place there.
Now it is.
Yeah.
now it is. I hear your beautiful other half sitting there. She's holding the dog, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Want to see the dog?
Yeah, let's see the dog. What's the puppy's name?
Adley.
Yep.
Spawn of Satan.
Yeah, Spawn of Satan.
Spawn of Satan. I love it. But Kevin Baxter just tuned in. Hi, Kevin. Nice to see you. He says the most awesome show. I absolutely have heard nothing but rave reviews about your show. And Don and I were talking about it. We're just like, we have to go. We have to go. So if we don't make it this year, we're definitely going to be there next year for sure.
It's organized very well. We do my partner, Neil, he owns this show, and I'm the poster child because I have beautiful hair, so what the hell.
I love you.
And, but it's our show, and it's put together real well. It's very well organized, and the move in, we have people move in by the hour. You show up before 1 o'clock, and you're supposed to be there at 1 o'clock. You go around in line, so you make sure you're just a little bit late, but it works out real well. I mean, it's organized, and it just makes it easier for everybody.
That is super cool. Gina Wood says to say hello. She's looking forward to it. She looks forward to it every year. So, we were talking earlier. We were talking about the Lifescape charity, but you also work with Teach Kevin Bass with the kids.
Well, we're going to do at Friday night dinner, the hamster dinner. We're going to do a charity, like do a cash thing, for people to give the money to the kids. And I was kind of got involved in it in early stages. I'd heard about it, and it was right before I was going to Cincinnati. So I thought, well, I'll zoom out. It was way better than I expected. And Kevin is a super nice young man, and he had these kids, and they're trying to build a bike, and he had some of his bikes in there, and so they had this bike. They mocked up some stuff that they'd gotten donated to them, and so I said, "What do you really need?" He says, "Well, we need a motor really bad." And I said, my first thing down there was going to be going to a hospitality thing with S&S, And so I went there, and now I can't think of it, the young man that was running it, Brett Smith.
Brett Smith.
And so he said he wanted to talk to me later. So I said, So we finally was talking about the 50th. Did I want to take part in the 50th? And I said, yeah, I'll gladly do that. I said, I got something I want to ask you. I said, last night, which had been Thursday night, I said, I went to a high school. They got this Chopper Kids class. And I said, he's got about 20, 25 kids as I can remember. And I said, they really need a motor. And he called over Charlie. And he says, what do we got for? I said, don't have to be a big motor. Don't it have to be a new motor. He said they had two motors that one of the builders, like Big Dog, American Iron Horse, had ran the motors and they took them apart to see how they stood up. And he said, we refurbished them. And I said, perfect. He said, it'll be on your doorstep in 3 days. And they shipped it to me. And then I got a belt drive from BDL. Bob gave me one of them. I went up to explain to Bob, and he says, just tell me where to ship it. He said, you've never tried to BS me on anything like that. Then I run into somebody, it wasn't Gardner Westcott, but it was a Chrome hardware thing. And they said, here's my card. Tell them to call me and we'll take care of them. And so, and that all took out of my time about 15 minutes. And people were just, and I've worked with him somewhat since and been involved a little bit, but, he's done a wonderful job, We in our show, we had this chopper, high school chopper build-off type of thing. And in the beginning, we probably had about 5 or 6 schools get involved, some out of state. Like we had one from New York, which I found out later, Reuben Brown, who is now he was a football player for the Bills. He's now a hamster. And I kept asking him, I said, why don't you come to my show, And he goes, well, I send that school there. And I talked to the one guy, he says, how come you don't bring a Reuben? Well, he pays our way, so we do that. But then he finally came, he's been there a couple of times. And Sugar Bear claims he's going to be there this year.
Yeah.
He was a wonderful man. I think the world of him, he's talked at the Hall of Fame. And then, just he's a good guy, so.
He's had people in tears at the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah. The first time he went up there, that was a hard thing to sit there and just be happy. I was happy for him, but you were happy. I probably had a couple of tears in my eyes thinking that, how he got treated, but he stuck with it.
Long overdue. Yeah.
He and Rick Fearless got Moxie Awards last year, but I had to ask what the word meant.
What does it mean?
It means you've stuck with it from the beginning through the highs and lows.
You got Moxie, right? Okay. That makes sense. Okay. That is awesome.
I don't think they'd have a clue what it was, So.
Sugar Bear and his wife, she's beautiful. They are beautiful human beings.
Wonderful lady,
And I definitely, every time I get around them, it's the same thing. Like when I get around you, and I don't know if you know, the first time I met you in Cincinnati was really funny. Don got a real kick out of it because my husband, Don, he's a Don too. So you Dons seem to stick together. But I met you and I introduced myself something and you kissed me on the cheek. And all weekend, all he said to me is, are you going to wash your face? I'm not washing my cheek. I'm not going to wash my cheek. Then when I met your beautiful other half, we were at the Michael Lichter party and she had a hamster shirt on. I was like, oh yeah, my favorite hamster, Donnie Smith. Just absolutely loved him since I was a kid. And, he's super hot and super sexy. And she just looks at me, she goes, that's my guy. I'm like, oh my God, you're amazing. Can I just touch you? Like, you're so cool. And you guys have just been just so close to my heart ever since. And I do have a couple of good little trinkets that you have passed on to me from.
You got your jacket?
My jacket and my shirt, my shirt. She said, she brought me the shirt. She's like, I have something for you. She goes, there's some oil stains on it, but I have it for you. And I wear it at special occasions. Like that's my thing. And the jacket is covered in a plastic bag. And then at certain points, I'll break it out where I'm somewhere where everybody knows exactly just how special I am because I'm wearing it. To have a Smith Brother and Petro jacket. And I don't mind that my name is Pudge at all.
Yeah.
I don't mind at all.
That's funny.
That is so awesome.
Be incognito.
So, right.
Right, exactly. Tony Pan San Filippo and Vicki San Filippo, they say hello. And they've been a fan for a really long time. So This year for your birthday, what would you like? If you could have whatever you wanted for your birthday, what would it be?
My health, which I have, I am very healthy. I just want it to stay that way, And I got tons and tons of friends, which a lot of them will be there, And I'm just happy with a new bike would be good, but we just got one last year, so And
I took that one.
yeah,
you took that one.
Yeah, the
what
low
was
rider.
it?
A low rider.
Oh, the low rider.
Yeah.
Like brand new.
JC Mason.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does an exchange and he sent us a whole paint job in a box, and my guy Rob gets it, calls up. I headed out of work about 9, and he says, "Got a great big box here from this Wheels of Art or something he calls it," and he says, "Tell Dawn to bring her bike over." So she run it over there, got it there about 10 o'clock, and at 2:30 I rode it home.
Oh, that's
all
awesome.
New paint on it. It's
all new
really
paint.
Nice. He did a wonderful job,
That is fantastic.
So we got to do a little more detailing on it, but it's standing good. We got some turn signals from Fred Codlin that are just the coolest little turn signals. They're LED. They don't hardly even show up on the bike. They're just and it's just right over on that one.
I love all the stuff. Any kind of time you can accessorize something and make it your own, that's the best part. And I know you know how to do that for sure.
Yeah.
You've been doing it long enough. So
I'm gonna keep at it till I'm good.
Yeah, and you're good at it. You're good at it for sure. So then,
and I wanted to say, I just wanted to say it was rolling art custom, rolling art paint.
Okay,
Jason
rolling art paint. Yeah. Very cool.
Good job. I mean, beautiful.
Kevin Baxter wants to know if Pando is going to make it to the show.
It will. It'll be there this year. They're bringing. I'm sending another bike out to the museum in Sturgis this year, and they're bringing Pandemonium back. And I may send a headhunter. I got another bike, which it showed me sitting on it in there. It's called. It's a flame biker called Rusty. That's another story. But anyway, I thought I could get it ready in time, but it just isn't working. There's more plating that needs to be redone. You can get by with some, but not some of this is blistered too bad. So I'm been working on not as much as I should have, but anyway, they want to bring that one back and freshen up the museum. So they're going to have the Headhunter bike out there, which we had at Michael Lichter's.
Oh, yeah.
But 4 years ago?
4 years
Probably
ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
3? Yeah.
And my partner here, she cleaned that bike up. I mean, honest to God, it was kind of a funny scenario. I walk in the garage and it's on the lift, and she'd been working all day on it. And the motor.
I worked for 2 weeks on it, actually.
Well, that day they really went after the motor, and she got the cases standing fairly tall. It's been sitting for 40 years. Built a bike 40 years ago, and I walked in and I'm going like, gee, I'm almost speechless, which doesn't happen very often. But anyway, I'm looking at it, and she starts to cry, and she goes, I said, what are you crying for? And she said, you don't like it. And I said, I'm lost for words. I mean, she really got it standing tall, but she had help with these guys. They're calling her and telling her, that's what you do to do this. And so she had all these people looking over her shoulder, taking care of her, but it still stands very tall. A friend of mine has bought it, Rick Ward, kind of known to do M8 heads. Mm-hmm. And he's another person you should look into talking to.
Yeah. Love to have him on the show.
Ward Performance, he's really probably one of the number one M8 heads. He's behind 250 sets of heads.
Oh, nice.
Can he do it? Shouldn't say it, but
he's doing it.
He's very popular.
Yeah.
So he works half days, all 12-hour shifts, and then goes right back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
we understand that. That's the chopper life for sure. So after the bike show, what else do you have coming up after the bike show this year? What are you up to?
I'm going to Arizona for Arizona Bike Week. I'm leaving on my birthday, which is the 28th of March, and I'll be out there hanging out with those guys. And then
we're going to go to the bike show in Deadwood.
Oh,
yeah,
that's Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it? It's
Jason
Jason moved Deadwood Customs.
Yeah.
We're going out there, and probably stay with the Wicks, Greg Wick and that. They're both hamster guys, and so we're just gonna. He bought. I built him a couple of bikes, and he's that bagger bike that's in the picture of the two of us. He bought that bike. I let him ride it, and then after he rode it, he says, "When this thing's for sale, it's mine."
That's awesome. So you're a hamster, but you were in on the ground floor. Like this past week at Willie's, I actually got to hang out with Mr. Kerr, Ed Kerr. He's quite a character, that one for sure.
Ed's a great guy. I mean, well, there's Ed and David and myself and Arlen and there was Barry Cooney, Steve Ellington, and
Jimmy.
And then Jimmy Lay was really the original guy. Him and Sue, which is David's past, and they, I don't know if you heard the story, but anyway, we're going to a hospitality thing at some magazine. It's a long gone magazine, but we're all going to go to it. And Susan didn't want to go, and Jimmy, he says, that's for you guys. That's for you guys. So we're supposed to come back and pick them up after it's done and go bar hopping. Well, we kind of forgot about that part. We went bar hopping. So when we get back, there's these plates on our doors. Like I'm the Midwest hamster, and David's East Coast hamster, and Ed Kerr's an East Coast hamster, and Arlen's the Northern Cal, and Barry was from Seattle, and so we all laughed, and the next morning at breakfast we're kind of yucking it up, and I said, why don't we make some shirts for Sturgis? How about I make some shirts for Sturgis? They go, we'll get, we're just thinking it's a joke, And so I made probably 3 dozen shirts, and we're just handing them out to friends, and you pay me, I don't know, I had $4 in the shirt. And so, and it kind of went on for 3 years, and then that's 78 we started, so you got into the 80s, and that's when the bottom kind of fell out of the market and it slowed up. But then when the 90s came back, the late 80s and 90s, that's when it started to grow, and we kind of capped it right now at 375. I figure last year we lost like 11 people, but it's all because they came in about the same age at the same time in the early 90s. So it's all people kind of hit that same age, but there's a good group of people. We've done wonders for their lifescape. Like the last 2 years, on a Monday night, we raised over $500,000.
It's fantastic.
And then, we probably give that group $4 or $5 million in the last 15 years.
That is awesome. I know somebody bid on a sidecar for 10 grand. I heard about that one. That was pretty cool. He had to explain that to his wife the next day.
She probably got another sidecar herself, but well, like Laura had made this little red rose, or it wasn't so little, but she does metal work, and it was a beautiful little rose. Sold for what, $750 or $850?
Yeah, Laura's cool. Her welding skills coming right along.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave has plenty of stuff to practice painting on. Not like he needs any practice.
Yeah, he sure does.
Yeah, there you go.
That is cool. So, are you ready for some questions?
Yep, we'll give them a shot.
All right, so we're going to start out with just the fun ones to start. So, dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Okay. Apples or oranges?
Apples.
Apples? Apples with peanut butter or just apples?
Just apples.
Just apples? Okay. Hotel or camping?
Hotel.
Hotel. You've definitely done your share of camping, though.
Yeah. We used to sleep in City Park in Sturgis.
I love City Park.
Don was staying in City Park in Sturgis at the same time I was.
Yeah.
We knew each other back then, but we weren't dating, and that, I think it was 80. 83 maybe or 84 was when they finally run them out of there. They just got too out of hand, and then we moved up to Spearfish at the city park there. But that was kind of run by a big old German girl, and there was nothing getting by her.
Nothing.
And it was fun. It was nice. It was very, very nice area. And then finally the 50th, I decided we thought they were going to overload the parks and that. So I went in a motel room, which that was almost like staying in City Park, because you have about 5-6 guys in there,
Yeah.
Because there didn't have many hotels or motels, back it started building. I got a little tidbit, last year was my 50th year in a row, and me and my brother Happy and another friend of ours, Doug, that we met there from this area. We've been friends and have had a cocktail out there for 50 years in a row. And Doug was telling me that he bought a paper out there. And the write-up in the paper was they weren't worried about the bikers or anything like that. They were worried about how to feed them.
Oh my goodness. There were that many.
You get 30, I think there was 3,200 people. Here's a town that's maybe at that time, probably 6, 7, at the best 800 people. It wasn't much of a town, just a little town, so, you got over 3,000 more people coming to town. They ain't quite ready for that,
Oh yeah.
And nobody's letting anybody know. You're just showing up, and
like Woodstock, peanut butter and jelly for everybody, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Slow, fast, or faster?
Fast is good enough nowadays.
Fast is good enough. Okay, and I love this question. It can go any way. Sunshine or moonshine?
Oh, sunshine. I'm not that. I don't drink that. I drink rum, and that's my since 65.
Since 65. What's your favorite rum?
Bacardi Light.
Bacardi Light. Okay, I'll remember that. Next time we're having cocktails, I'll bring cocktails. Okay.
Bacardi and Diet Coke is what I drink.
Bacardi and Diet Coke.
And NFL. No.
NFL. No freaking lime. No fucking lime. You can say it here. It's after dark. We're allowed to say whatever we want. Plus, it's my show. We can get away with whatever.
Always got a story. We're out in Providence in Rhode Island at David's flood, back to our fall foliage run. So I ordered a drink, Bacardi Diet NFL. So this lady gets them and she's gone, and God, she's gone, and she's gone, and she's gone. And funny, she comes out and she says, we looked at all the books. We called every bar in town. Nobody knows what an NFL is. Says no effing limes. And she goes, he was so embarrassed, But anyway.
That is so good. I like that. That is good. At least she wasn't looking for football anything.
Yeah.
Could have went that way. All right. So what is your favorite song?
My favorite song? Mm-hmm. You know what? Anything back in the 50s, 60s, 70s. I like heavy metal if I can run the volume.
Okay. That's got to be a Don thing. Definitely.
Yeah.
Mine's the same way. He will blow the windows out if he's allowed to play with the volume.
With me, you won't. You might go through one of them, but you ain't gonna.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I think you two know how to hang together, so I don't have to worry about that. He's I do know that that's one of his favorite things too, is like to be in control of the volume. It depends, but he'll listen from anything from rap all the way to Frank Sinatra and everything in between. So it depends on the mood. But I always have the oldies channels. I get in the car and it's like the oldies and I'm like, yay, I love it. Okay, so road food. What's your favorite road food?
When we were reading through it, I said roadkill, but that's not really. And I probably, I'm just a good hamburger would be fine.
Okay.
It's if I'm in a steakhouse, I like a good steak, or I like pork chops. Again,
pork chops.
So if you look at me, I haven't missed many meals.
I love you. That's awesome. Okay, so I guess we're gonna know the answer to this one. If you were a cocktail, what would you be?
Bacardi Diet.
NFL, right?
NFL, you got it.
That's it. Okay, so now we're gonna get into some of the serious questions. How long have you been riding?
It says 64.
64. Wow. That's awesome. that's decade upon decade. You have seen so much shit change in our world. How crazy. Like you lived when it was really, you were riding when it was the real easy riders, when people would rather run you off the road than be on the road next to you for fear.
Yeah, you know, my first bike was a Triumph. My first couple of experience on a motorcycle, I just finally said, you know, I ain't gonna do it. I was, you know, I was always trying to ride where I shouldn't have been riding. You know, my first one, I got on a bike, a panhead, and you know, it's a tank shift, and you know, I'm used to just driving a little 50 Ford is what I had, and I go up to make a quarter, and of course, you know, I'm not leaning real well, and I jump the curb and miss a fire hydrant, and I stop, and I'm going, I'm getting off this damn thing, you know. Then my uncle, who was got into drag racing in a big time, one of the original starters of Drag Specialties before it went big time, but anyway. So he's got, you know, he don't have a driver's license. So he's got this Sportster with a 74-inch motor in it. It's all at the ba thing. So he goes, well, come on, I want to break the motor in. You driving all right behind you. Well, he's bigger than me by about 20 pounds. But he forgot his gloves. So he got it running. I'm sitting there and I thought, well, I'll go down here and make a U-turn. It's a wet cobblestone street, which would be bad enough today, you know. So I go down, I make the U-turn, I come up and I make another one. Now I'm going like, oh, I guess that wasn't quite so bad. I go on to make the second one or the third one. I'm making the next one and it sneezes. So I grab a little throttle, jump the sidewalk, drag me down a retaining wall.
Oh, shit.
There's a big hole in my brand new jeans, big hole in my knee, you know, and I'm going, F these things, you know. But then I got riding a Triumph and they have a lower center of gravity and they're a little easier to ride. And we were test riding it out on 90 before they put pavement down. It was just dirt and it snowed. And my buddies lived up above it. And we went down there. It was about good 6 inches of like a 35-degree day of heavy snow. And I rode that and I thought, you know, I'm going to buy me a Triumph. And I went down to the Harley dealer and they had a 1-year-old Triumph there. And I was working at Honeywell at the time. And I go in there and told them I need $850 to buy furniture. I was moving into an apartment and I bought a bike.
That's the best fib there is. That's for sure. So then that answers some of the questions of how did you get into building motorcycles?
I've always been kind of artistic. I mean, even when I was real young, I could draw real well, you know, and I got that Triumph. I rode it a year. Then I made a little, there was other guys around town building them. So I kind of decided to build my own. Well, and I got it built, and then I was getting into building a race car and a motor. And so I sold it to a kid from back home, wanted to buy it. So I sold it, took the money and finished with a blown small block Chevy I was racing. So then after that, I bought a Sportster.
Okay.
Then I was confident I could ride that thing. You know? And my uncle, God bless him, just passed away probably a couple of months ago. My uncle was only 2 years older than me, and anyway, we were more like a brother. But anyway, he was into bikes, and he like I say, he was one of the original guys in Drag Specialties. There was Tom Rudd, who was still, well, he's pretty much retired, but was Kiriak, and then Cyril is his son. That's Cyril Group, and then them guys started Drag Specialties, more of a engine building thing, and then Tom figured, ain't no money in building engines, but there's money in making parts. And so he kind of took the name, and then they went, you know, my uncle had a shop at home, so we went back to his shop at home, and then the other guy was a machinist that machined for him. And then he went back to doing his machine work, and they all did well, you know, and Tom is still with us. He's helps his kid, you know, he just knows how to sell things. He's very good at it. And a good guy. You know, it's
that's important. But back in the start of it all, I mean, you had Pat Kennedy, you had Paco Parts, you had some Gary Bang. I don't even think, I remember when Drag Specialties was like very thin, custom chrome had just come out.
68 they started.
Yeah.
And I got into the service in 69, and they were building motors at the time, and Tom was kind of getting away from it. And what happened is how he kind of got started, and I'm trying not to make it too long, but they couldn't get our pipes for Sportsters. They were big in building Sportsters. So He goes, what the heck? He grabs a set and he goes out to a bender and he said, how much to bend these pipes? He gets a quote on maybe 100 sets, goes to a plater, how much to plate these pipes. So then he figures out the packing and stuff. So he started calling around to the places that were supposed to have, these R pipes. And he said, you got any R pipes? He said, no, you want to buy some. How much? Give him a price and they take, say, like 15 a month. And he called somebody else. They'd take 10 or 15 a month. And pretty soon he had them sold. Then he moved on to some other stuff. And that's how Drags got started.
That is so
that's
cool.
How Drag Specialties, Tom Rudd version of it.
That is so cool.
So
that is neat.
And I'm about 90% right on most of that. I don't know the amount that he bought, but I'm sure he didn't have deep pockets to do it. So
yeah, because that's choppers and motorcycles. People always say, that's the joke. You want to make a small fortune in motorcycles, you start with a big one, right? And you've seen everything change. I mean, you've had ups and downs, like you said. The market dropped, and you went from Smith Brothers Fetro. You kind of went to a smaller place for a while, and then
when it slowed up, we had a machine shop that would we used to make all our own parts, just about all of them, and we had our own CNC lathe and stuff like that, which is a big deal for somebody like us because when we went to buy it, they kept going, but they're just a motorcycle shop. And the guy said, but their credit's good. And everything was right, So finally they sold it to us. And then so we could make parts for our springers and girders because what was happening, the machine shops were all getting busy and they didn't want our work, So this way we could control it. So we got it. And then in about 85, a little bit before 85, it was about 82. Our best year, and these numbers don't sound real big, but back then they were fairly decent numbers. But we were doing $241,000 of Smith Brothers and Fetro product. The next year we did 40. That's how it slowed up. Went 40, 30, 20, and that's when we decided, we got to get out from under it. The product liability insurance we're paying more for insurance than we're making on the products.
Right.
And we closed it up, and then that was the end of that. We sold off the parts, and we had to kind of just get away from it because it could always come back on us if we tried to just switch the name, and
right. So you took a step back and then revisited
my brother. We traveled around the world for about 5 years. We went to Australia, New Zealand, Brazil, Belize, Honduras, Thailand a couple of years, and then I donated a kidney in 1990, and then that's when the market started taking off, and then I just got back into motorcycles. So that's kind of a bit short of my life for there.
You donated a kidney
to my sister, yes.
Fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic.
She made 15 years. She'd been a diabetic since she was 9, so she was dealing with stuff. But at least give her 15 more years, So
hey. And that just goes to credit. That's why you're one of my favorites, because you really are all that and a bag of chips. I love it.
There you go.
I love it. Okay, so what are your favorite rides, your favorite motorcycle, and your favorite route to ride?
Well, I guess my favorite motorcycle is whatever I built to ride. I mean, right now I got an FX DRS it's a bike that Harley couldn't give away, and so the price they were originally selling for $22,000. I ended up with this one I paid $13,700 for a brand new bike, but they had that, the way they're set up, they had to put on all, all the add-ons, the
right
setup and all that stuff. But and then I reworked it, and now everybody kind of wants it. I said, if they'd have done it like this, they could have sold it, but they got that European look with all that taillight hanging off the back wheel kind of thing out, and I did kind of the same thing with an FXR. I got stuck with an 82 FXR. More of a story to that, but I got the bike. I wasn't real happy because you couldn't give them away. They couldn't sell them. They were jacked up. They were this, and now FXRs are hot. But So I took it around. One of my guys said to me, "Well, why don't you just take it back, make it look good? That's what you're good at." So I go, you know what? I went back and I put 3.5-inch shorter tubes. I put 2-inch shorter shocks on it. put drag bars on it, bought a set of pipes, and I'm going, damn, it looks like a motorcycle now. Took it to Sturgis as a backup bike. I had a turbocharged shovel head, and my friend Crazy John blows his Jap bike up again. So I said, you need a bike. So I said, you can ride this. So he comes back after one day and he said, you got to tell me something. Everybody wants to know what the hell it is. So it's an FXR. And the next day he run into Willie G, and Willie G comes out. We knew Willie real well back then because he would go to a lot of the runs. And he comes up and he goes, you know what? That's the way that bike should look. And 2 years later, they started selling because they lowered them. They had the low rider and stuff like that. And
yeah,
they never give me a part.
That's so funny. They say, what do they say? When they copy you, that's supposed to be the biggest form of flattery. Yeah. It's flattering if it comes with a nice big fat check, right?
Yeah, right.
And even, I would have thought they would like give you a bike like each year to just see what you do. They don't have to build it, but they just couldn't give that up, And I guess I never went and tried to put a hard sell on them, but I figured you come and looked at my stuff,
right,
and took lots of pictures of that. Like at one time, John Cause of House of Colors, he did a bike and he painted everything black, and John knows how to paint, trust me. And I was with him in Daytona when he had it down there, and they had a couple of photographers there. They did everything but roll it on its side to take pictures of the bottom of it. I mean, they went through that bike. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I'm going, damn, you ain't trying to hide nothing with this. You guys are just crawling around. But, that's...
And Dave Perowitz will tell, he's always told me no one will ever walk across the street to look at a black motorcycle. Boy, how times have changed, huh?
Yeah. But I remember my first Sportster I had, it was kind of I got it from my uncle, and it was kind of the bike was good, but the sheet metal was kind of different colors and that, and I don't need to get into that. But anyway, so I said, no big deal. I'll paint it. So I painted it all. I've had House of Colors paint it and everything. And the first one I made it all black, and everybody was black and chrome. And I got it, and I'm going down the street, and I'm going, every bike I bet was black and chrome, and I go, well, that's the last of that. So then I built one that was green and had John Kosmowski. I just seen John yesterday. And, but, had lace paint on it. But so that was 67. So I built it, had it done just before like the fall of, or the beginning of 68. I got drafted in January of 68, never got to ride it.
Oh man.
But I give it to my brother. We had a building that we were making payments on. It was me and Smith Brothers and Federal. We owned this little 40 by 40 building. And the first one was full of race cars. I had a Willis Coupe, and then Federal had a dragster. And then we crashed the Willis Coupe, bought another one, bought a pickup, built a coupe. I was involved in both of those cars. We took the drivetrain out of the crashed one, and I built a new set of drivetrain for the other one, which had a blown Chrysler in it. And in 67, we went on that car, the last of the gases that we ran. We ran 938, 153 miles an hour. So pretty proud of that car.
Holy smokes, that was fast for that. Wow. But, that's racing for real.
That's racing.
That is racing. So that's where all your gearhead stuff comes from then, huh?
Right. But I grew up on a farm, so I learned how to change tires and change oil and fix tractors and fix farm equipment and stuff. So and I went to a agricultural school where we only went 6 months a year, and it was a boarding school. So I would start at 1st of October, get out the end of March, and then I could help my dad farm.
Oh.
So, so that's, and then in that school, they had like arc welding, gas welding, they had an engine class, and they had woodworking class and that stuff. But then they had classes on, like farm animals and farm crops and stuff like that, but had all the rest of the stuff that high school had. We started at 8 in the morning. went till 4:30 and had 2 hours of study hall at night.
Wow.
And,
that's a long day.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Kids these
for
days, they
farm
go
kids,
in.
that's a half a day for us guys.
Right. I was going to say, they get up before dawn and go to bed after the sun goes down. That's how that goes. And that's nowadays kids, they go to school from 8 to 2 and they whine about it. So they have no idea, especially here. They get on the cheese wagon here and they go to school. Most of them never had to walk. They've never had snow to deal with. So, and then farming, so when you do tractors and all that stuff growing up, that gives you a base, a foundation for mechanical aptitude because you don't have a choice. It breaks, you fix it, right?
My dad was kind of a scrapper. He'd buy old cars and then he'd bring them around behind the buildings and he'd roll them up on the side. And us kids would tear them apart. We always took the pointy things out of the carburetors, whatever that was about. But they were like little bombs that we made. We didn't. You couldn't buy all the crazy toys. We'd make our stuff.
Right.
We're always making crazy little things, but I always had too many wrenches. All end up in the grove.
That is too cool. So, what's your favorite? What's your favorite route that you've ever ridden, or that you like to ride?
Pardon me?
Your favorite route? Where?
We ride around the cities. We used to spend a lot more time in Wisconsin, but now we go west. There's nice riding. We got rivers, and you go north, it's a lot more wooded. But we got all kinds of rivers that have nice rides alongside. Wisconsin has beautiful roads. They take care of their roads, and there's really nice riding over there. And I'm not a real long distance rider anymore. Never was even back then, but I've done some trips. And so we just ride around the cities. We get out 7,500 miles or something and work our way back, and just never drive by a bar.
Never do. Right. Pass everything except for the next place to stop for a cocktail, right?
Like some guys from New York give me a card one time and it says, "No bar too far."
That's good. I like that. That is very good. So, what is your favorite event?
Sturgis.
I love it.
I've been there 50. This will be my 51st year, and I still I enjoy it. I used to like Myrtle Beach before the police kind of screwed that all up, and the city screwed it up. We haven't been back, and I go to Arizona Bike Week, which I enjoy, but I have a lot of friends that have moved down there or have homes down there, and I don't mind going to Daytona, but I just sometimes with the show where it's at, we're only a couple of weeks away. That's hard for me to kind of keep it all together and put that together. And we added a hamster event to the show thing, but the hamster Winter Nationals and the show on the same weekend because guys were complaining, saying, I'd love to come to the Winter Nationals, but I want to come to your show. And I finally said, hey, we're going to put the two together. We try not to always mix business with the hamsters, but sometimes you just have to. It made sense, so.
That's cool. That is very cool. So, what is the most fun you've ever had on a motorcycle?
I told her I wouldn't tell.
Oh, it's an adult show. It's after dark. You're allowed. A guy named Boylan Bocheco. Did you ever know Boylan? I don't think so.
He had a magazine at one time called Big Bike.
Oh, yeah.
It started out as a real good magazine, and then it just kind of wound down for some reason. But we went on a run. He called it Thunder Over Dixie. We started in Nashville, and then we kind of worked our way down. And, PJ Otten, and I don't know if you knew him. He's passed away. But we had like Medusa, the wrestler lady, was on it. And then, I can't remember.
Ginny Bergeson.
Who?
Ginny Bergeson.
Yeah, Jen Bergeson. Girls had Spikes and Bikes. They tried that magazine for a while. And then there was a country western girl. And then I think,
who were those country westerns?
Yeah, big guys, country western, kind of a bigger build guy, wore a hat Brooks and
Dunn?
No,
Brooks and Dunn.
But anyway, different people. Medusa was along, and we really had a good time. I mean, because they kind of let us do our own thing. Well, then the next year, they wanted to tighten it all up, and we're doing it as a favor to Bo Allen, who had helped us all and run our magazines. And Arlen and that was on it for a while, and me and David, a bunch of our guys that go down. But then he wanted to get it more regimented. Wanted us to be on time at these things, and going like, we get there, but nobody's paying us, So we're just we're coming in, we're hanging out, we show up. We're not going to hang there all day,
Right.
And so there never was a third one, but that first one, we really did have a good time. It was just fun.
That is awesome. So then I guess the opposite of that, what's the worst experience you've ever had on a motorcycle?
About 4 years ago, I fell down, kind of an amateur mistake, but cracked 3 ribs, just kind of flipped my hair back, they put it down, sewed it in, put some rivets in it, or staples in it, could have been rivets, but did about $100 worth of damage to the bike and scunned my hands all up, and it was just, I only live 7 miles from my shop, so I run a bike home, bringing this one back, and I'm pulling in between two cars, and the road's kind of curved, and I looked over my shoulder to make sure the car wasn't cutting me off, and when I looked up, all brake lights, and I grabbed the brakes, and the bike slid out, and I was so canted, and it just went out from under me, and I got banged up and broke the ribs. That was the worst thing,
Yeah, that's never fun. So the next question, who is your childhood hero?
It's probably my grandpa. He, I was the oldest kid on both sides of the family, and my parents were, bought this little farm, and they're both working it. And my grandpa was retired, so he would come out, and we'd go walk, and whatever was good for grandpa was good for Donnie. So he used to chew snooze, and I said, Grandpa, when you do that, you should give me some. He said, stick your tongue out. Well, that took care of that problem, And he just was my first friend, and I always thought the world of him. And I mean, my parents were wonderful parents. They looked out for us real good on the farm, and we had to work, but it never killed us. We always thought that we should go. We only lived a mile from town, so we always thought we should go to town and play with the kids. And my dad had a different idea,
Different idea.
This, but that's all part of it. But I always thought the world of my grandpa. He was just a cool guy. He's a whittler. Always had a knife, sharpened knives. And my mom would say, when he come out there, he'd always sharpen the knives. He said, I always cut my damn fingers when he does that. I'm not ready for the knife to be so sharp. But awesome. My uncle, he was into motorcycles. That was part of that. And
would you consider your uncle your motorcycle hero?
Yeah, to a point. He kind of steered me into it, but my one buddy Mickey, he had bought a Triumph, and I rode the Triumph in that snow, and that's what got me the confidence that I could ride him, because I kept falling down and banging around with the things, and I'm said someday these things are really hurt me, But then I got riding that. And that year, about that Triumph, and that year I put 10,000 miles on that year on that bike, and just rode it. I lived on the thing,
Right. So then Mickey would be your childhood or your motorcycle hero?
Yeah.
Okay.
Elwood Spear, he ran a drag bike for many, many years, and run around here and built, he sold his shop out probably 10 years ago. And like I say, he was 82. Maybe a little less than that, but big sportster man. I mean, really did a lot with sportsters, and
most everybody was always into the big twins.
At a point, I'd say Arlen was a good, when it come into the street diggers and that, and what Arlen was doing. How could you not Arlen be your mentor? He's the one that put me in. I've gotten the Hall of Fame in 95, and Arlen was the guy that put me up for the Hall of Fame. And then this year, I'm going to get a lifetime achievement.
Achievement.
Best thing. So I'm going, Arlen was a great guy. You know, it was hard on me when he passed away. I didn't deal with that real well. You know, just
well, anytime you guys, if you saw one, you always saw the other. That was
everybody
always.
thought that when we'd go to events, we were competing, and we didn't. That never happened between us. He was as interested in seeing what I built as I was to see what he built, and the same with David. You know, the three of us were just friends. You know, and we never. I met David. I'd seen David once at a show called Detroit. I don't know. That was like in '74, I believe it was.
Okay.
I bought a belt buckle from him. Of course, he wouldn't give me a deal, but anyway, still bought it. And then I'd met Arlen at a show in '75 that Drags put on called the Invitational.
Right.
But they couldn't, the only weekend they could get was Easter weekend. Of course, Sunday was, I mean, nobody was there.
Right.
And so a couple of years after that, while it was '77, Arlen called me and said, you know, listen, I'm having a bunch of the guys out to crash at my house, and we're going to ride up to Tahoe. And I'm going, hey, count me in. You know, we're going to do a 2-week thing, and our business was doing well at the time, and so I fly out there. Well, David's there, you know, and then you know, I got to meet David, and we got to, you know, hotel. And in a couple 3 days, it's like we knew each other for 20 years. We became friends like that, and he insisted that I go to Daytona, which was '78, and that's when the Hampshire started.
That is so cool.
But then then he invited me to his wedding, and I'm going, you know, he goes, you get out here, it won't cost you another dime. I'll have a place for you to stay, bike to ride, going up the Cape, got a cabin, all that. So went out to his wedding, and on that, and it was fun. We had a great time. Went deep sea fishing, you know, and that's
incredible. That's the coolest part of motorcycling. Like for me, to hear you tell the stories, because like again, I always saw you and Arlen and Dave together, you know, no matter shows, like, but even growing up, if he was in a magazine, Arlen was in a magazine.
Grow up, come on.
Oh yeah, growing up, like I'm not grown up yet, right? But my husband says all the time, he says, they say if you don't grow up by the time you're 30, you don't have to. I'm like, yeah. Okay.
It was like the little boy, he said, when I grow up, I want to be a biker. And his mother says, you can only pick one.
I love that. That is awesome.
That's what I was getting at when you were saying that.
So my next question is, what are your 2 most cherished motorcycle memories?
You know, I think every one of them's a memory to a point. I mean, I've had one after another, and the funniest thing, some of the events you go to, like I was just telling somebody this the other day, we're coming back across the bridge, Lake Poctola. We're up there, and it starts to rain. Well, 44 heads down into Deadwood. On that corner was a little beer joint, just a shack of a place, but we need to get out of the rain. So we pull in there, and a bunch of other people pull in there, and we're in there drinking beer and carrying on, and it's raining like crazy out there. And we're just having the time of our life. You know, I mean, it was, telling jokes. Nobody was giving a damn. It's raining. Okay, it's raining. It'll quit pretty soon. And so it gets over, and we go off, back to camp and that and stuff like that. And the next year we go by, the building's gone. I mean, you think you're never going to duplicate that good time, And trust me, I've had 100 of them good times. I mean, the best ones are the ones you don't plan. It just happens. You run into somebody there that and the next thing here comes somebody else, and next thing you know, you're partying. I've just had a lot of good times. Some of my cherished things that I cherish giving my kitty to my sister. That was a big deal to me. Being part of the Hamsters, which is still going on, and that's a big thing. I mean, there's a good bunch of people. I mean, people get involved. Like, there was a new guy with us last year, a friend of David's, Glenn's his name, and he was at the Monday night thing, and we put in 14 new members, and everybody's like cheering and carrying on, and then we come up with I think it was $505,000, so over $500,000, and he said, he come up, he said, I have never been in a room so full of love in my life.
That's
and I thought, boy, you couldn't put it together no better than that. So I guess that's awesome. Kind of my life, I mean, I enjoy the people. I enjoy going out there. They said, well, what have you see new? And I said, I see my old friends, we stay at the Holiday Inn. We've been staying there for 25 years, and they welcome us.
They call that Hamster Hill.
And it's good. I mean, it's good people, good friends. That means a lot to me.
That is awesome. Okay, so if you could go back and tell your 25-year-old self something, what would that be?
I don't know if we got enough time.
Anything you want.
Well, I have a son that's he's probably 33 or 34 right now. And when he graduated, finally, and I know them days, I told him, I said, you're a white single male. And so you just got to kind of make your own way because you're the bottom of the barrel. And that may be, and he's done okay. He's doing all right. He's doing what he enjoys, and, for me to be 25 again, I'd be in jail, but pretty wild back then, and, I don't know. My life has been a party, as Dawn has told me. She says, your life's just been a party, ain't it? And I said, well, I guess so. It's what I do and what I've done, and, would I change anything? My father told me once, I was the oldest, and he said, I might have been kind of hard on you because we didn't, they're young people, don't know nothing about kids other than babysitting alone. And my one brother used to think that he was kind of hard on us because, he wouldn't let us, we wouldn't get to go to town as much as, And I said, if that's what it took to make me who I am today, I wouldn't change one spanking or anything. Every one I got, trust me, I earned it.
Okay.
My dad never touched me when I was being nice, but them moments were pretty rare. So a little bit of a rowdy kid when I was young.
I can't imagine you being a rowdy kid at all. At all.
But here's one for you. When I was in 5th grade, they took me off the playgrounds for 8 weeks.
Who'd you beat up?
I wasn't a nice little boy.
Oh, you were a rotten little kid, huh?
I was a bully,
You really?
Oh yeah.
Hey, you had your crew. It's not that you were a bully; you just had your crew, right?
No, I just was a mean kid. I didn't need nobody to help me.
That's so funny, and see, you've come full circle because you're always involved in all the love, especially with everything you guys do with the hamsters and all that stuff. And then anytime, I love going places and seeing you because everybody, you beam at all the people around you, like you just beam, and then everybody around you just beams because they feel it, they feel the real true energy. You're very genuine, and you definitely will tell it like it is too. I know that for sure. You see something, you'll say something. You're not shy about that. So
you always say, if you don't want to know, you don't want to ask me.
You don't want to ask, right? Okay, so we just have a couple more questions, and then I'll let you finish out the evening. I'm so excited about the Lifetime Achievement Award. I plan on being there this year to see that.
Thank you.
That is amazing.
It's close to selling out so far, but.
Well, I'm gonna work on the crew at Cycle Source. I'm gonna hook up all the cameras and stuff like that.
Okay.
So that's my in, because hard to get a seat at a table anywhere for that stuff. Got some heavy hitters this year for sure. Yeah. Every year, everybody that's there is deserving. Yeah. So, okay. So if money didn't matter and you could take a road trip on your motorcycle anywhere, where would that be and with who?
I just ride around America. I've been to a lot of countries. I don't like the way they drive. Bad enough that we bring them in here, and I don't like the way they drive. But I just head out and go, I guess I'd take my hamster book and I'd just go visit a bunch of hamsters.
Okay.
And that would be a good ride. I mean, we got them in probably 50% of the states in that, and we don't have any in Alaska, which we don't have any in Hawaii. We've had one in Hawaii, or two of them, matter of fact, and one of them passed away. The other one's still with us, but he's not a hamster. He had a big leave of absence in his life. But anyway, I would just go out and enjoy America. I mean, there's a lot to be seen here, a lot I haven't seen. I've seen a lot in other countries. I was in Europe when I was in the Army for them 2 years. I didn't go to Nam, thank God, and I was 26 when I got drafted, just about 26.
Wow.
And it was because I have a foot that a horse had fell on it and broke. And when, so I wasn't 100%, but they were kind of running out of people to shoot at in Nam. So they put us old guys, which were 25 and a half, in the Army and sent us to Europe. But
okay.
Nothing going on there but drinking beer.
That's part of the party. That's definitely it, right?
Yeah.
Part of the party. So tonight I had a young lady ask me if I was riding my motorcycle. It was what make and model it was. I was in Daytona at the ladies' ride. I was riding my shovel head, and she thought it was the neatest thing because it looked different and it sounded different. So what do you think about that compared to today's bikes? Is there a preference?
Well, I have to say I'm riding an M8 and I really enjoy it, but shovels have their own distinct sound. And they're probably where they, at a point, refined them enough that they didn't quite leak as much as the other ones till they got to the 17, 8, and 9 with their valve problem. But, we all went through that shovel head area. They were a great bike in the day. They kind of took a motor that was designed to be a touring bike, and then they finally made it with the Super Glide and Willie doing the Super Glide. That kind of brought it up to being a sport bike to a point, because always before it was a Sportster. And a lot of us were kind of outgrowing the Sportster, and my first big twin, had a couple of Sportsters, and my first big twin, I bought a 68 in probably would have been 72, and I was trying to get it built for 73, and I had to buy a Super Glide. The guy had a slightly used Super Glide that the price was right, and I said, I'm going to buy that, so I got something to ride while I was building my 68, and then I finally got it done at the end of 73. And then in 76 I rebuilt it, and I still have the bike, but it needs a little TLC, But
that's a generator bottom, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I used to own about 3-4 of them. My bike Pandemonium has a generator bottom,
right?
And had a couple other bikes I used them in, and then I sold them up, but I kept this one. That was my original big twin bike.
That is neat.
I still have it. And
that is neat. Right.
They're shovels definitely have a sound to them. They just have a different sound to them. And I think it's just that the aluminum heads, and they had the cast rockers, which got rid of some of the top end noise to them, and I just think everything went into the exhaust and made that kind of a sound. And just, I enjoyed my shovel heads in the day. I had multiples of them. And
you're liking that M8 though, huh?
I am liking my M8.
Okay, that's cool, because I've been looking at them. I'm like, okay, do I wanna? I'm gonna have to.
Right off the bat, they got pretty strong power. I mean, Rick Ward being my friend, I buy this one. So I call him up and I said, hey, I just bought an M8 today. He says, you got the heads off yet? I said, I ain't got it home. They're going to deliver. So I get home and my guy pops the heads off and he does the heads for me. And then I go out there to pick up my stuff, and he did the manifold and everything. And so he's got these two cams, and he says, this cam will give you 140 horse. This cam will give you 160. I said, I'm 79 years old. 140 is plenty for me.
That's fine, right?
And I said, well, I said, you know, I don't want to blow up things because they have a tendency to break the trannies, and you got to get into a baker or something like that, and they have trouble with the compensators and some issues with the clutches sometimes. And you know, with my 140 horse, you know, and again, I don't race that much. I probably raced about 5 guys with it in 3 years. You know, so do I need 160 horse? I doubt it. I'm happy, very happy. The motor runs good. Everything on it works. Rick did a wonderful job in his heads and stuff like that. I mean, I can't say anything. His cam, it isn't a real throbby motor. And I know he works with different guys grinding his cam. Like he has Bobby Woods do some work for him and stuff like that. And he works with fuel motor. That's those cylinders I have on there. Okay. And I'm very happy with the bike. You know, I mean, I like, you know, at first I'm thinking I got to change the bars the way it's sitting. And once I got on it, and I thought, you know, this thing, you kind of sit up on it more like you did on a Dyna, you know.
Okay.
You know, you're not in it like a soft tail, but it's all right. I'm happy with it. Very happy with it.
That's awesome. All right. So if you would be so kind as to tell us something good about yourself that others may not know.
Well, I don't know. All I can say is people seem to like me. I seem to be easy to get along with. I mean, but I will tell you, you don't want to piss me off.
I'll go with that. I will go with that.
But I go places and people like me, and I feel, and I sometimes don't even know why, because I just am me, and I can be not the real me.
But that's why.
You know, I enjoy people. You know, I can see through bullshit because I grew up with bullshit. You know, we had cows, man. So
right.
Bullshit, you know.
Yeah, you can't bullshit a bullshitter. That's for sure. Yeah, definitely.
And but you know, I just my health has been great. You know, I've had a couple operations. I had my knees replaced. I had a cyst taken out of my spine, so there wasn't really the health issues. It was just putting some new parts in, and they're all good.
Maintenance, right? Got to do some maintenance.
You know, maintenance, exactly. And I give you a little tidbit. I get up one morning, you know, about a year ago, October, and we got these 2 little dogs, which you've seen, Adley, and so my job in the morning is to take them outside. So I'm pulling my sweats on. I can't pull my sweats on. My shoulders were like you just stuck 2 knives in them. Oh. And it took me 20 minutes to pull up my sweatpants. And I said, whoa, what's this all about? So I go to the doctor. They take some x-rays. They send me to a specialist. And the lady says, you got arthritis in your shoulders. I said, it's like you flip a switch and they go bad. And she goes, well, you know, and I said, I know my age, you know, I understand that. But I mean, when I went to bed, my shoulders were good. You know, I mean, they got a little bit of an ache in them, but nothing bad. So she gives me some cortisone shots, which did nothing. And I'm going, God, and I usually react to things pretty good. Like when I had my knees done, I had both my knees done at the same time. And in 10 days, I was walking without a cane, you know. And so anyway, I get back and I'm reading, and it says to eat tart cherries, you know, which we have in the freezer because we make smoothies. Don makes smoothies out of them. So I take them, get a teacup, and I fill it up, and I eat them, you know, warm them up, and so they're not so crunchy. And I ate them for about 5 days, and I could tell my shoulders were getting better.
Wow.
And finally I said, whatever you do, keep 2 bags of them in the freezer all the time. We got another freezer downstairs. So then I talked to another guy, and he said, you can get capsules. And she gets looking, and you can get gel capsules. So I take 900 milligrams a day. My shoulders feel like they did when I was about 45 years old.
Neat. Oh, that's awesome. That's a good tidbit.
Like, you know, I mean, I can, but she says, don't push the issue. Don't try to work them, you know, lift weights and time, because it's all going to go the wrong way for you, because this one, I need rotator cuff is a little loose. He said it was just something we got to watch. You don't need to have an operation, but and I recommended it to lots of people. And I mean, a lady that had gotten over cancer because of the chemo and the radiation and all that,
Right.
her joints are busted. In about 5 days, she said everything just went to being great.
That's awesome.
That's my health issue to you, you know. And trust me,
I like that.
I ain't making a dime on it, but just about everybody I've gotten to take them is going like, I can't believe it's that simple.
So it's like WD-40 for your joints.
Yeah, it is. You know, I mean, like she said, you know, she couldn't hardly sleep because her joints ache so bad. Her brother is a hamster. He got in a new guy, John. He's a great guy. And he was telling me, God, she deals with her joints so bad. And I said, wonder what the chances them crazy pills would work. So she called me and I told her, you know, the ones I was taking. And she came in about 8-10 days later, gives me a big hug. And she says, you're a magic man. So, hey, Dr. Smith speaking here.
I love it. That is fantastic. Okay, so last but not least, will you give us your 5 good things?
What's that?
5 good things. 5 good things that you are just grateful for. 5 good things today, this week, month.
Don's 1, 2, and 3. Okay.
I love that. Yes, okay. She is. She's
and my
amazing.
Health, but the good Lord watches out for me, I guess, because I managed to weather the storm and a lot of things. And my brothers, which I've lost 2 of them, a brother and a sister, both younger than me. I should just say my family. I'm grateful for my family. My family was, my father said and mother set good guidelines for us, you know, much as we didn't enjoy them being young, but you get a little older, I do it. So them are my 5 things, you know. I mean, Don and I have been together for 25 years. I didn't think she drank that much, but that must be the wine.
I love it. And she's a fantastic artist too.
Oh yeah, she's doing well. I enjoy that. I mean, I don't quite understand it, but I do a little bit now. We
Fire.
And we kind of got some of that fixed, but
nice.
Just one of her machines was dirty, and I took it to work, and we got a bigger air compressor, and blew it out, and it seems to take care of the problem. But a lot of my friends that are painters, you know, Tony Larimer and J.C. Mason and them guys have worked with her. They bang questions off each other, you know, and so she's, you know, gets hooked up with them guys. Like when she was cleaning that headhunter bike, she's got these guys, you know, this is what you use on gold, and this is what, you know, right?
That's awesome.
So she did good, you know. We have a good time. We manage to weather the storms.
I am so grateful, and I'd love to have her. I know one of these days I'm going to carangle her, and she's going to be a guest on the show too, because she's amazing and she has lots of good stories too. I can't thank you enough. I am so honored that you took the time, and I am so hoping that this year, 34 years, is the best until next year for the Donnie Smith Show. I hope you have more and more people, and I hope everybody enjoys themselves, which I know they will. I hope the weather is perfect for it. And if I can ever do anything to be of assistance, help out in any way, do anything for you, or if you guys are just freezing cold and want to come to South Florida, I'll make sure you got a place to stay and motorcycles to ride anytime you want.
Well, thank you very much. If you ever come to Minnesota, make sure you give me a call before you come up here.
Oh, I will.
Or you're going to make me mad.
I'll make sure I call you before I come up here.
All right.
Thank you so much. I love you both. And
very enjoyable, and thank you very, very much. You know,
I appreciate it.
You know, and say hi to Don.
I will, and we will see you soon.
Okay.
Okay, much love. Mwah.
Good evening. Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
How incredibly wonderful. Am I not the most blessed, awesome person in the whole world? Nancy Weems, I see you out there. Sorry, I was so into what Donnie was saying. And yes, and your husband used to work with Arlen. That is so cool. Tony Pan, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm going to give you my 5 good things. So my wonderful husband who supports all my craziness, because there's some craziness goes on around here. The relationships that motorcycles has brought to my life. Look at that. Donnie Smith. I know Dave Perowitz. I hung out with Arlen. I'm so lucky. So many other people too, incredible people. Like, I have friends, Joanne Bortles, Laura Clark, Tony Woodruff. The list goes on and on and on. And we have some great guests coming up who are also my friends. We have Corey Ness and Jay Allen and Roadside Marty, which we messed up last week, but we'll get them back on here. Lots of ladies too. I just so much good stuff. My third thing, knowing God's greatest gifts, because that's the one who gives us all the gifts that we get. And if you're smart enough to see them coming, know what you have, that's a blessing in itself. My motorcycle and how far we have come as a team, because boy, howdy, we were butting heads in the beginning, but it's all love now. She just loves me and I love her, and I'm grateful for her. And then, of course, being right here, right now, doing this little show. So those are my 5 good things. And my afterthought, okay, here it is, adversity. Everyone faces it many times a day, sometimes the smallest of ways and at other times in the worst ways. Adversity is challenge. And if you look at it in a positive light and consider it to be just that, challenge, it'll show you just what you're made of. Never mind what others see. Our strength comes from within. And once we see it for ourselves, we can continue to accept each and every challenge and do our best to be our best every time. So look at yourself when faced with each hurdle and you will see. Smile big, spread your sunshine. Be kind to yourself and others. It matters. Don't forget, participate in 5 Good Things and Ask Athena at athenaafterdark@aol.com. I can say that 10 times fast. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube. Send your questions for a little bit of biker chick perspective. Thanks to Donnie Smith for joining us. I'm so grateful. And Miss Dawn for hooking it all up because she makes the magic. And then thanks to our sponsor, Techno Research, and our advertiser, Seaside Subs. And then thanks for all of you guys for viewing. See you next week, 10 p.m. Eastern time for another great guest. Love to you all. Good night. Chopper on. Woohoo! Love you all. Night.